This is SportsRage. I am Morency. It's level 3. Let's do this thing. We've been watching the Pacers and the Blazers game. We haven't been paying too much attention to the Lakers tonight, but the Lakers are now in trouble. They're down a 10 spot, 90-80 to the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn are minus 3.5, up 10. There's 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter of play right now. They've outscored the Lakers. Listen, the Lakers were up in this game, 68-62 at the break, and the Nets have outscored them 28-12 in the third quarter so far. So this game is a very high-scoring game. 40 points already put up in this quarter with only 4 minutes left. Over-under is currently 247.5. I've been burnt too many times chasing these in-game overs with the Lakers and stuff. The Lakers are, old and they're erratic. They hit the wall as these games go on. I would actually think the Nets are worth a look at minus 3.5. I'm not sure the Lakers come back, but I'm more focused in on this Pacers game. Pascal Siakam making his debut this evening, of course, after the trade with the Toronto Raptors. Siakam's prop tonight was 20.5, which is kind of, when Siakam was on the Raptors, it would generally be 22.5, 24.5, 23.5, depending on the team and the situation and stuff. Yeah, you're talking about a player playing his first game with a new team. And it's not easy. It's like the first day of school, man. You're showing up here. You don't know how it's going to go. You never played with these dudes before. You don't know how they're going to treat you. Are they going to pass you the ball? How are you going to fit into the offense? And all this type of stuff. But they are down 6. It's 97-91 for the Blazers with 8.5 left. But Siakam is up to 18 points right now. So we just need another 3 points from Siakam in the next 8.5 minutes of this basketball game, and at least we'll hit the Siakam prop. I jumped in on the in-game over here, and I think I'm going to lose that. But, of course, as soon as I say this, Siakam just committed his 5th foul, and he's coming out of the basketball game because, of course, he is.
Brutal.
God, man. No, they're leaving him in, actually, right now. My bad. They're leaving him in.
Get a couple baskets, then get out. Right? I got laughed at when I told those guys I was
short a lot this week.
You know what, Morency? That's the way those things are. I know you love overs and stuff like that. A lot of people like overs. It's just, you said it, though. The Lakers are a team you're playing with fire because they really do it in spurts, right? They get hot, they get cold, the tempo can go hot, and then they cannot score for a while. Wetzel and those guys laughed at me when I told them I was taking Brooklyn tonight. They're like, "Oh, you're taking Brooklyn?" I'm like, yeah, you think I want to lay 7.5, 8 with the Lakers? No thanks. I know Brooklyn's
Shout out to everyone joining us. Sirius XM 159. I agree with you, Cap. I like the Nets tonight. Well, you know what it is? You just can't trust the Lakers as a bigger favorite. There was a story, and just for the record, everybody on Sirius, Tony Finn's going to be joining us in a couple of minutes. There was a story I saw earlier today. I didn't get a chance to click it. I'm going to check it out after, but I don't really buy it because I respect the guy too much. But it was basically that Spencer Dinwiddie, people believe, it was the headline was, insiders in the NBA believe that Spencer Dinwiddie is on strike with the Nets right now. That he's basically not trying. But deliberately as he's trying to get off the team. And he's sending him a message because they upset him. Thing is, Dinwiddie's one of the cooler dudes in the NBA. He's one of the more interesting people off the court in the NBA. If you guys remember a couple of years ago, he tried to sell himself as a stock and sell his contract to the fans. Adam Silver didn't allow it, but it was a creative idea that he came up with. He basically said, you invest in me. And tennis players have done this. Some golfers have done this. You invest in me, and you get a percentage of money that I make. And basically, he was a free agent. He was a free agent to be, and he had the idea. And he basically said, listen, and he was going to take the money and invest it in companies and stuff. And he said, invest in me. And he goes, I'm telling you, I'm going to make a lot of money on my next contract, and I'll split it with you. Basically like a corporation. Basically the best way to put it. He was going to sell shares of his NBA career to people, which was actually pretty brilliant. And he brought up the fact that you know what? Like tennis players have done this, golfers have done this before.
Big time.
It's basically like a new crowd surfing type of deal. But I understand like the NBA was a little bit, it's too modern for them. He's also been one of these dudes that's been into crypto and stuff like that. He also creates his own shoes, which is a super cool concept, which like if you look at his shoes every night, they're like designed by him, and he's got different paint jobs of like Muhammad Ali and different people, like it's in different designs and stuff. So he's a really cool dude. But it surprised me, like I said, about, he's on strike. But I don't know. I'm not in the room. And the NBA is a whacked out league in which players basically can protest to get off a team to get sent somewhere else. So that really could be going on here. Let's roll. This is SportsRage, the Friday Night Freak Show. The final countdown, but I'm not Europe, but it is the final countdown to the final kickoff. Let's do this thing. The divisional round is rapidly approaching. Our boy Tony Finn's going to step up and in from Area 51 this evening. We're going to break it down. We'll get Tony Finn's best bets. We'll get Cam Stewart's best bets. I've got a bunch of bets for these games tomorrow ready to do this thing as countdown to kickoff is on. We've also got basketball going on right now as we speak. Pascal Siakam making his Pacers debut this evening, but it's not going well for the Pacers. They're down a 10 spot to the Portland Trailblazers right now with 7.5 minutes left in this basketball game, and it's not going well for the Lake Show either. It's 98-90 for the Brooklyn Nets late in the third quarter of play. We'll keep our eye on this. We got a UNLV game. UNLV are a difficult team to predict what they're going to do. UNLV are playing well tonight as underdogs on the road against Colorado State. It's 54-40 in this basketball game. But we've got a lot of stuff to unpack. Countdown to kickoff is on. There's a lot of news as far as the National Football League coaching carousel is concerned. The Raiders make it official. Antonio Pierce is officially the new head coach. The interim status is gone. AP is in the LV. And it makes you wonder about what's going to happen with Harbaugh. Reports are as well that the Atlanta Falcons are very close to coming to terms with Bill Belichick to be the new head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. Arthur Blank looking for credibility, and Bill Belichick brings credibility. They've got a deep roster. The reports were that it's just basically just sort of contract type of stuff and the legalities and all of that, that probably early next week, Bill Belichick's going to be the head coach. Now, I'm not reporting this, but that's what the reports are. Jim Harbaugh was at a March for Life rally today in Washington, D.C., and I saw an interview that was one of the strangest interviews ever, and it was going back and forth between pro-life type stuff and football. But Harbaugh seemed to drop that he's following God and that he's getting ready for next year with Michigan.
C.J. Stroud looked like he's been playing in the league for a decade as the former number one overall pick.
Give me the 9.5 outright, plus 385 outright. We smashed the 49.
The Tampa stuff just doesn't feel repeatable.
I've always thought that Baker Mayfield was better than people give him credit for.
Make sure you are locked in.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Last year, the Purdue Boilermakers upset by the 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson. Is history going to repeat itself?
Purdue is capable of winning 6 games in the NCAA tournament, but the fact is, until Purdue proves that it's capable of not just advancing, but advancing far in the bracket in March, this is going to be the storyline. And I've said that to you throughout the offseason.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
they were best friends. Like they like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So like there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled like seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. Shout out to everyone joining us on the Mightier 1090 ESPN Radio. In the house, Tony Finn will join us in a couple of minutes. So we were talking about Antonio Pierce becomes the guy with the Raiders, which it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue with the move as far as the Raiders. They tried with Josh McDaniels. They tried with Gruden before, and they had success with Bisaccia, and then they made the change. But this is different because the players really will run through a wall. Bisaccia, they liked them. And, they made the playoffs, and it was a difficult season for them. That was the year that Gruden, with the emails and all that type of stuff, and I want to get to Jay Gruden in a second, but he had all the emails and all that type of stuff. So Bisaccia was in a tough spot. They made the playoffs. They lost to the Bengals when the Bengals made the Super Bowl. They bring in Josh McDaniels after. It was a complete disaster. Antonio Pierce takes over now. Yet there was something to be said. There's something to be said about the Raiders' swagger, and Antonio Pierce has that swagger to him. He also has the respect of players. There's something to be said for guys that played in the league, for guys that players can kind of, respect. And you don't have to have played in the league to get respect from players, but a big difference between Antonio Pierce talking to you and Josh McDaniels sort of talking down to you when AP's actually been the one that's played in the league before. You saw the change in the Raiders locker room. Now, the Raiders still need to get better. That's the key. And I think if you're a Raider fan, it's sort of good news, bad news in a way. I know that there was the hope potentially for Harbaugh and stuff, but AP is the right guy at the right place at the right time for this football team right now. But now you have to ask yourself, and it's a difficult decision, is Aiden O'Connell the quarterback moving forward? And I would say, no, he's not.
I agree.
And I'm just being real. If you really want to win, you can say, yeah, you know what? He was good. He was this and that and stuff. Yeah, and he was. But there's different levels to this stuff. And with the draft pick that the Raiders have right now, you could really reset this. You have a lot of talent at different positions. There's some holes in the roster, but you're not that far off. You got to get it right now with the quarterback. And now it comes down to a preference of who the Raiders actually like at the quarterback position. But the quarterbacks that are available for the Raiders are better than Aiden O'Connell is. So that's just the reality of it, Kim. Right? And, the Raiders could potentially get a J.J. McCarthy. They could potentially get a Michael Penix, maybe a Bo Nix. It comes down to your preference of what quarterback you like. You could move up a couple of spots in the draft if you really wanted to as well. So it comes down to what quarterback you really like. But as much, and I think Aiden O'Connell is good, but if the Raiders are going to take the next step, they need to get a star quarterback.
Couldn't agree with you more. And you said it. There's going to be a lot of quality there. Like Penix could fit the bill. I do like Bo Nix too. I know he didn't play like the Washington game. They just had a good game plan. Here's the thing, Gabe. We all know O'Connell when he played at Purdue. He's a grinder, but let's call it out for what it is. Exactly as you said, he is a backup. He's not a starting quarterback in the National Football League. But the Raiders, you got Adams, you got a dangerous tight end, you got a great running back in Jacobs. You got a killer on defense in Crosby. I think their secondary needs a little bit of work. We can address that in the second and third rounds of the draft. But I will say this, agreed. I would say any quarterback that they can get in that position will be better, and O'Connell could be the backup for the Raiders.
Now, what quarterback will be there is another story. There's just so much in the air right now. There was a talk about, the Bears and Cliff Kingsbury. I'm under the impression if you're bringing Eberflus back, you're not going to take Caleb Williams. You'll stay with Justin Fields. Yet I've given up trying to predict this stuff. All we can do is really, when we see a line on something, we can predict it and try to bet it. But this is the wildest offseason ever. Like it really is from just every perspective. There's a million great quarterbacks coming into the league, or at least, we'll find some of them, maybe one or two of them will be good. But there's an opportunity with these quarterbacks. You have all these big-time coaches and coaching changes that are going on. And, to me, though, this is quarterback row. It's almost like a monopoly board here. And it's the 11, the 12, and the 13s, in which you've got the Minnesota Vikings drafting 11th. They need a quarterback. You got the Denver Broncos drafting 12th. They need a quarterback. You have the Las Vegas Raiders drafting 13th. They need a quarterback. I'm looking at Walter Football right now, which is a very respected draft website. And it's funny because I told people instantly after the Michigan Wolverines won, I basically said, I just had a vision that J.J. McCarthy is either going to be a Minnesota Viking or a Denver Bronco. And that's the 11th spot with the Vikings, the 12th spot with the Broncos. And lo and behold, here's Walter Football's updated mock draft. And with the 12th pick, the Denver Broncos select Michigan Wolverine quarterback J.J. McCarthy. I could see Sean Payton loving J.J. McCarthy, but I could see O'Connell loving J.J. McCarthy with the 11th spot as well. To me, Jaden Daniels is the guy was born to be a Raider out of LSU, but he's not going to be there with the 13th pick overall. But we'll have time to get into the draft. It's going to be a wild off season. Countdown to kickoff is on. Let's bring in Tony Finn right now. Straight from the Strip of Las Vegas, Nevada. Tony, let's do this thing. How you doing tonight?
Favorite spot, my favorite time of the week right now.
I appreciate that, Tony.
What is this guy?
No place you'd rather be. That's what you're saying. Yeah, no place you'd rather be.
Yeah, no place you'd rather be than on SportsRage.
No place I'd rather be than with family.
You're like Harbaugh. Who has it better than us? Nobody. Right? That's what you're saying.
Yep.
No argument for me. I think he's got it pretty darn good too.
Who, Harbaugh? Yeah, he's got the football world in the palm of his hands right now.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, just quickly, as far as this, all kidding aside, Harbaugh is pretty good right now. While Harbaugh is out here, doing his thing, Ohio State are stockpiling like a gang war. No, they are like, you know what? We're not playing around. We're coming in like from all sides. We're dropping drones. We're dropping bombs. We're coming in with AKs. Like they're coming in from all angles here. And, now they get Caleb Downs from Alabama. Me and Brent Beard talked about this just last night on the program. And it's to the point now where Ohio State are cutting into Georgia's stuff. Where Georgia is like this big recruiting power right now. So the kids are leaving Alabama, and Georgia figured, you know what? They'll come here, right? Because we nearly got them to begin with. It was a battle between us in the first place. But now Ohio State are stepping up with some serious NIL money. Junkins out of Mississippi, left Mississippi. It's serious when kids are leaving the SEC for Ohio State. But I've said this, and I've been telling people this, your little run in the SEC is done. The Big Ten is the new power. And you're seeing the Big Ten has more money. The schools have bigger NIL deals. And now SEC teams are losing players to the Big Ten because the kids realize that's where the money and that's where the party is at. So speaking of the Big Ten, C.J. Stroud couldn't beat Michigan, but here he is in the NFL playoffs going into the divisional round, taking on the Baltimore Ravens. I look forward to your take on this game, Tony. I've thrown it out there. I've told people I like the Houston Texans plus the points in the first quarter of this football game, getting 3 in the first quarter. I'm getting 6.5 in the first half with a football team that hasn't played a real game in 3 weeks. All right? I mean, they had a 2-week bye here, and they didn't play their starters like before either. So they're going to have to flick the switch and turn this thing back on right away. I'm not so sure they will be early in this game. Getting a full field goal, guys, in the first quarter of an NFL playoff game is rare. And we're getting 6.5 in the first half. That's a lot of points.
C.J. Stroud looked like he's been playing in the league for a decade as the former number one overall pick.
Give me the 9.5 outright. Plus 385 outright. We smashed the 49.
The Tampa stuff just doesn't feel repeatable.
I've always thought that Baker Mayfield was better than people give him credit for.
Make sure you are locked in.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Last year, the Purdue Boilermakers upset by the 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson. Is history going to repeat itself?
Purdue is capable of winning 6 games in the NCAA tournament, but the fact is, until Purdue proves that it's capable of not just advancing, but advancing far in the bracket in March, this is going to be the storyline. And I've said that to you throughout the offseason.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. If you joined us earlier, I've talked a lot about Pascal Siakam making his debut. And I said his player prop was 20.5. And we got Tony Finn in the house with us. And Tony, 20.5 for your first game with a team is difficult, right? He just arrived. He got traded on Wednesday. He basically just meeting these guys, never played with them before. He gets dropped on the court. You never know how many minutes he's going to get after the trade. Are they going to get him the ball and all this type of stuff? But he's so consistent. And I saw Bruce Brown last night with the Raptors. Same thing. He basically arrived at the airport, showed up, and dropped 15 points off the bench last night. Yeah. And I brought it up that normally when the new guy's in town, especially a guy that's going to be the key of your team, you want to get him the ball. You want to make him feel comfortable. And, the coaches are going to call some plays for him. So long story short, I took Siakam over 20.5, and I can proudly say he's at 21 right now. He gets there. There's a minute and a half left. They're down by 7.
I was going to say 20.5 with Indy is, subtract 20%, 10% for that because of how they score and how they play their offense.
You read my mind.
But essentially,
I was like, dude, everybody scores 20 on the team.
That's right. That's correct.
Well, they take a lot of shots, but you know what? It was a back-to-back, and they're not good in back-to-back situations, actually. They're I think it was 1-6, now going to be 1-7. I saw before, I think they're 6-1 or something on the first end, and some teams are good in back-to-back, some aren't, but teams generally don't win. I noticed that, the other night with the Raptors won the first game without Siakam because the new dudes weren't there yet. There was no one there. It was basically the same team, but we don't have Siakam tonight. Then last night, you're dropping new bodies on the floor, a new chemistry. It changes everything. Same thing with the Pacers. I kind of expected – I didn't bet on the Pacers tonight. Generally, teams lose when you get new dudes on the floor because it just sort of throws everything off a little bit for a couple of games before they get into sync. But, all right, let's get into the damn picks here. I've said it. I'll get to my best bets after, but I said it already. I like the Houston Texans plus the points in this game. I like the I'm going all in. I like the Texans plus 3 in the first quarter. I like the Texans plus 6.5 in the game. I like the Texans plus 9.5 overall, plus 6.5 first half. And I think this game goes over. It's been 43.5 all week. It's up to 44 right now. Wouldn't surprise me if it continues to climb. I really like the over of this game. But I think Houston can hang around in this game, Tony. I don't think Baltimore are 10 points better than they are.
I will say this, and that is, we're back to where we talked a little bit about last week, and that's playing against rookie quarterbacks. Not only playing against rookie quarterbacks, but playing against a rookie coach in a big game. This is a big game.
Yeah, it didn't
work.
Big
spot for – no, it didn't. And that was for several reasons. But as you just said, I think this week's animal is a little different than Houston's opponent last week as well. And this is, in my opinion, Baltimore, and I'm stepping out with this, guys. I think they're the best team in football. I think they're the most balanced team. I think they have a quarterback that's finally kind of found his way, understands his role, and understands when to duck, when to kneel, when to punch, and when to throw deep. And I really like this setup. They're 10 points. They're 20 points better than Houston. Are they 20 points better for the whole game? I don't know, but I know this. I'll tell you this here of laying 10.
It's a lot of points better.
It's a lot of Tony's bold. Alternate spread. Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
Tony's Tony. We're going to reset with you here, Tony.
Yeah.
Can't believe this. That was the minus 250 favorite of the night that hit. Tony's got problems.
I don't know what he's doing. Is there a way to get an internet provider in his bunker that, he might have to pay a lot of money, but we need something that, cuts. It's something.
The state of Nevada blows, bro. It is what it is. No, listen, let me rephrase this, because the state of Nevada is a great state. The great state of Nevada. But internet service and cell phone service in Las Vegas is spotty. They basically have, I don't know, I think they might have 3 towers now, but there's not enough towers. Basically, they have the towers, and it used to be 350,000 people there. And then there were 700,000 people there. Now there's 3 million people there, and everyone is using the same damn towers. I know it was a frustrating experience there, especially with cell phones. Is Tony, are you on Click now, Tony? Are you on the government hotline now from Area 51? Are you good?
No, but I certainly would pay for that.
We got to get you on it. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's a good call.
You're right, though. You're right about all that.
All right, it's not better.
No, we got to do, Gabe. No, Tony, you need an ISDN line like they got at those stations with money, nice and crisp. They cost $15,000, but you can afford it.
No, he can't. All right, reset with Tony, actually. Shut him down. Shut him down and restart. We've been through this before. We'll see if we can get him going. But other than that, you're right. We'll get a GoFundMe for an upgrade, some sort of premium Comcast or. There's an unnamed, but like I said, it's not his fault. There's an unnamed. Well, actually, it probably is his fault, to be honest. I don't know why. I don't know. I'm going to defend him. So as I was saying, so Tony says that the Ravens are 20 points better. That's a pretty bold statement. It's a pretty bold statement, but I don't buy into that. Listen, Baltimore, a really good football team. And I was pumping Baltimore's tires earlier in the year when people weren't. I was talking about Lamar Jackson being undervalued for MVP. Being a massive Harbaugh fan that I am, I respect the hell out of his brother and that coaching staff. And I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan as well. So I want to see Lamar succeed. I think people overly are critical of him. But at the same point in time, winning by 10 points is not easy. And they're good, yes, but they're not some sort of like juggernaut that is just going to like absolutely ambush the Houston Texans. And there's something about the Texans and their calmness. I think Ryan's experience, the guy's been around a long time. He's always been very successful. He brings a level of calmness. CJ Stroud is just super calm as well. They have a good young defense that can make a play here or there. They're going to give up some points in this game, but I think they can trade punches. Like, I think it's like, in a boxing analogy here. They're going to trade, they're going to trade some shots here. One thing with Houston, they're good at big plays, right? It appears like you're stopping them, and then boom, they pick up like 17, and boom, oh my God, Collins is wide open deep down the field. I think Houston will be able to score here. As a Buffalo Bill fan, I'd prefer that Houston wins this game so Buffalo can potentially host the AFC Conference Championship game the following week. But I'm not that, I can't go that far. I keep coming back to the same scores here, Cam. 27-21 Baltimore, 30-23. I think Baltimore will win the football game, but I think they'll get all that they can handle from Houston. Baltimore will pull away, they'll score late or something, and they're going to win the game. But laying 9.5 points is dangerous to me against this Houston Texans team. As I stated, they've been an underdog 10 times this year. They're 7-3 against the spread.
They're a very good team. And a lot of the points that you bring up are valid ones. Stroud does not look like a rookie quarterback. He looks like a seasoned veteran out there. Well coached, well prepared. Your boy from Michigan, Nico Collins, is getting better every week. Morency, I'm just going to say this too, and I am on Baltimore. I think they win this game. I'm not going to say 20 points better like Tony. I think they win by like 14. Cover the number. They're at home. Their defense is great. The offense is smooth. If you like Houston, they got to come out early and do some damage in that game before Baltimore gets heated up like a diesel engine. But I will say this. I think Baltimore, we talk about this in the fight game, Rents, and you used to tell me this. You're a big MMA guy. Sometimes you got to lose a couple fights. You got to get beat. All those previous losses will help build Baltimore into the strong Raven that they are. I think they will be prepared. I think they will be on point. I think Lamar Jackson is going to run wild. And I think all the receivers, Zay Flowers is going to have a huge game. It doesn't even matter. I don't care about Mark Andrews being out. Likely's fine. He can block too. I just think they have too much firepower, and I think they win this game like, 30-16, 31-16 type of game. I'm on the Ravens, but I can see people make a case for Houston. They cover damn numbers, and they're a gritty football club.
Well, if you like, and if you do, and I think it's a good take on the game, but that means the game goes over the number, and I've been talking about this. It's too low. Anytime, guys, in this modern era of football, that you get a total that's under 45. So you're getting 44, 43.5, 44. 24-21 gets you there. As we see in this day and age, how many games are like extremely low scoring without some sort of like extreme reason why it happened? Baltimore will be, and listen, we know Houston doesn't have the best defense. They have good talent. They'll make plays. but they're going to give up points. But at the same point in time, they're going to score as well. The total is too light. Like I said, it was 43.5. It's 44. I imagine it'll continue to climb as well. Listen, are all 4 games going to go over the number? Probably not. Something weird's going to happen at some point. One team is going to, not show up, or they're not going to score in the red zone like we saw last week with the Rams. But 44 right now in Houston and Baltimore, 50.5. We talked about this earlier in the program. I'm not the biggest key number guy because whatever, kickers miss extra points, and then all your key number talk is thrown out the window. But the Green Bay Packers and the Niners is 50.5. It ain't going to go down. It's going to be at 51, and 51 is a key number. Anyone that knows the bets totals, 51 is one of the key numbers, 48/51. And we've got a rising number here with Tampa Bay and Detroit. This has been the most line movement of the week with the total here from 48.5 all the way up to 50 right now with Tampa and the Detroit Lions.
C.J. Stroud looked like he's been playing in the league for a decade as the former number one overall pick.
Give me the 9.5 outright. Plus 385 outright. We smashed the 49ers.
The Tampa stuff just doesn't feel repeatable.
I've always thought that Baker Mayfield was better than people give him credit for.
Make sure you are locked in.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Last year, the Purdue Boilermakers upset by the 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson. Is history going to repeat itself?
Purdue is capable of winning 6 games in the NCAA tournament, but the fact is, until Purdue proves that it's capable of not just advancing, but advancing far in the bracket in March, this is going to be the storyline, and I've said that to you throughout the offseason.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
They were best friends. Like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The Blazers win tonight against the Pacers, which is rare. The players are really happy that they've won, and I understand why. They haven't had a lot of wins this year. So the Blazers have just beaten the Pacers this evening. We lose another in-game over because we're an idiot. But we did hit the Pascal Siakam over 20.5-point prop before the game. The Brooklyn Nets are finishing off the Lakers right now, 125-107. Under 3 minutes remaining. Brooklyn rolling. They're laying 17.5 in-game with a couple of minutes left for the Hardcore Crazies on the way out. Speaking of Hardcore Crazies, I think we got Tony Finn back right now. But we'll see if we can get Tony back in the rotation here. I've got my NFL best bets. We'll let Cam go here first, and I'll get to my plays for the weekend. Cam, what do you have for us?
And he didn't mock me, and I had a good week. Let's roll, Frank Font. I'm ready to go. I am with Tony Finn. I'm flying with the birds. I love the Baltimore Ravens. I know it's a big number. I just love this team. Tony talked about it. They're a complete team. They're a very, very strong team. I like Lamar Jackson. A lot of the time in sports, you got to lose to learn how to lose, then you win. And that's what Baltimore's in. They've had many playoff disappointments, guys, and I think they show up in this game. I'm not taking anything away from Houston, Rents. You bring up so many damn good points. Stroud's an animal, not a kid. He looks like an adult, well coached, very efficient. Receiver Collins getting better all the time, but they can be beaten up. Their defense can. So I think the Ravens win this game by like 14-16, and they cover the spread. So here we go. Now, guys, thank you, Frank Font. I appreciate the board. And now we're going to go with the Green Bay Packers. I got 10. I don't want to sound like, hey, Gabe, I got 10 early. Well, so I got, but it's 9.5 now. That's not going to help you guys out there betting it. I will still take it at 9.5. Here's the thing. San Francisco might carve these guys up, but I believe in Jordan Love and his growth. I believe in this young receiving core. I believe in Green Bay's running game. And I think maybe, you know what? You can attack that San Francisco secondary. It might be a back-and-forth game. And, Gabe, you know with the spread that big, the back door is always open. I know, Morency, you're a big fan of the over in this game. And, yeah, it should be. If Green Bay is going to hang, they're probably going to have to score like 24-27 against San Francisco, and the game would go over. But I'm taking the Packers plus 9.5. Bills money line. Worry about the injuries, but Gabe brought up a really good point, too. Kansas City's receiving corps beat up. Their offense is a little bit beat up. This is the first time Mahomes has to go to Buffalo. The Bills fans are going to be rabid. They're going to be wild. And I'll tell you one thing. Josh Allen will do anything in his power to win this game for Buffalo. And maybe it's another hero. Shakir played great against the Steelers. Love the tight end props. Knox, Kincaid. That's how you go. Right over the middle with these guys. And the Bills, I think Cook is going to get a lot of touches. And I think the Bills win this game by 4 to 6 points. So I'm taking the Bills on the money line. Don't want to screw around with the spread there. I just like the money line. I'll lay the damn juice. Over 49.5 Tampa Bay at Detroit. Gabe, and I don't know, I switched this bet, but earlier on I bet this under in this Green Bay San Francisco game at 50.5, and I already have buyer's remorse. I looked at it now going, that is not something I like. So I will come back on the other side. Let's do this. I'm not screwing around with a 6-point teaser, 7-point teaser. We're going to do a 10-point 3-team teaser. Baltimore to win the game, San Francisco to win the game, and the Bills are actually in the 10. They're plus 7.5. Not 9.5, but 7.5. I like that touchdown cushion. 2.5 becomes 7.5. 3-game teaser. Pick them on the Ravens. Pick them on the Niners. Bills plus 7.5. That's the way we're going to roll with that one. And I got a money line parlay for you. San Francisco to win the game. The Baltimore Ravens to win the game. And the Detroit Lions to win the game. Plus 103. Morency. We'll have lots of player props as well. I expect, and I did that Buffalo Bills 20-1 parlay, guys, same game parlay. Bills to win, Knox touchdown, Kincaid touchdown. Both tight ends to get a touchdown, and the Bills winning the game is 20-1. Morency, good luck to everybody this week.
All right, good stuff. A lot of good picks in there. I brought it up earlier as far as the Buffalo Bills and their tight ends. Dawson Knox scored the first touchdown of the game the other night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was the 4th straight time that he had scored the first touchdown of the game in the Buffalo Bills' first playoff game. All right, so Bills playoff run start. Dawson Knox scores that first touchdown. If you dig a little bit deeper, it's like 5 of the last 7 Buffalo Bill playoff games. Dawson Knox has scored the first touchdown of the game. It's 22-1 right now. Kincaid, they both scored touchdowns the other night. All right, tight ends are a big, they're a big part of modern NFL offenses now. And especially when you have two of them, it's difficult to stop. Josh Allen has a great rapport with Dawson Knox in the red zone. Look for Kincaid will have more yards and catches in the game and stuff. And then Knox comes in and gets this touchdown out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, man, there's Knox again. So Knox really is somebody to keep your eye on for the first touchdown score of the game at 22-1 right now. It's 25, 22, 20, whatever, in that range. We cashed that Kincaid plus 300 to score a touchdown and Bills to win against the Steelers, so I don't have a problem with going back to that. One thing we'll bring up, too, about the player props with the Buffalo Bills game is, Josh, when the Bills get close, like inside the 5, they're not going to give it to Cook. They're not going to give it to, anybody, right? They're going to, Josh Allen is going to run it in. And Josh Allen has that John Elway type of thing going on right now. He really is, and there's a lot of dudes on missions right now. That's what makes it so hard to win a Super Bowl. But Josh Allen is so consistent in getting into the end zone and scoring the touchdown. He's minus 120 to score the touchdown. He's plus 500 to score the first touchdown of the game. But let's do a same-game parlay here. And another thing is, too, with no Gabriel Davis, Diggs has made plays, but he hasn't scored a touchdown. So I don't have a problem with getting a piece of Diggs to score a touchdown either. Diggs to score. Let's start off with Josh Allen here first, though. Josh Allen to score a touchdown, and the Buffalo Bills to win the game is plus 160. Not a bad look right there. And you sort of attack this. If you like the Bills, you can attack it from different venues here, in which you could do the Bills to win the game, Josh Allen to score a touchdown. Bills to win the game, Stephon Diggs to score a touchdown. That's plus 210. We talked about the tight ends. Dalton Kincaid to score a touchdown and the Bills to win is plus 400. All right, amazing. That's a serious, that's a good price there right there. Dawson Knox to score a touchdown and the Bills to win, same game parlay, plus 575. So if you like the Bills, yeah, it's a lot, Cam. If you like the Bills, you just fire away with 5 of these touchdown score props with the Bills to win with same game parlay, and you're getting plus 210, plus 575, plus 400. You're getting all these plus monies, and you're turning a favorite into a plus money. But as far as Houston and Baltimore is concerned, like I said earlier, I respect the hell out of the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're a great team, and I think they're going to win this football game. But I don't trust them to win by 10 points. Especially basically when you're laying 9.5, you better be up by 17 or more with 5 minutes left, because it's the NFL playoffs. Teams don't tap out, and that back door is swinging wide open, man. Mm-hmm. And you're getting 9.5 points. Listen, I'll pay 15 cents, whatever. I'm going to make it an even 10, but we'll get started here. Give me the Houston Texans plus the 3 in the first quarter. Houston Texans plus 6.5 in the first half. And the Houston Texans plus the points in the game. As far as the Packers and the 49ers are concerned, I'll take the Packers in teasers and a 10-point teaser and stuff, but San Francisco are that good, and McCaffrey's just a stud. I don't care if the guy's off. He's almost just going to be recharged. He wasn't 100% beat up at the end of the year, McCaffrey, and now he's going to be healthier. I don't think Green Bay are going to be able to stop San Francisco. So Green Bay is going to score, but they're going to be playing from behind in this game. I really like the over. I think that's the best bet. Just slam the over of this football game. Then we get into Sunday's game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. Similar situation. We just saw the Detroit Lions survive but not cover when they were only laying 3. Now, if you want to win this bet, they're going to have to win this football game by 7 points. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 12-6 against the spread this year. Baker Mayfield's 9-3 as an underdog. People dismiss him. They dismiss the Bucs. They dismiss Bowles all the time. We are talking about the Detroit Lions, guys, that, just won their first playoff game for the first time in 30 years, okay? So it's not like the Lions have a ton of track record of history and success here either. I think the Lions win the game 28-24 or something like that. It goes over the number, but Tampa are actually going to backdoor, squeeze in a cover here. Maybe it's Detroit that are trailing, and they come back and they score, and they win by 4 or something like that. But I'm willing to put my money on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus the points. Love a teaser here. This is a great tease game. Buccaneers plus 13, over 43. Then we get into the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have beaten the Chiefs 3 consecutive regular season times that they played. They've lost the 2 playoff games. One of them was that classic when they blew it with 13 seconds left. The other one was pretty close as well years ago. So the Bills have been through this before with the Chiefs. This time, this is Patrick Mahomes' first ever road playoff game. All right, so finally you get the Chiefs on the road. The Bills are circling the wagons. I think it's ridiculously cheap of the Bills to make fans shovel the snow, but if they want to do it, whatever. But there is a big community thing going on here right now in Buffalo. There's also talk about Andy Reid retiring after this. All right, that Andy Reid's going to retire, but he doesn't want to tell people because he doesn't want to be a distraction to everybody. I can't confirm that, but I'm just telling you, you know, Travis Kelce's flirted with retirement. He might, he's got this Taylor Swift marriage thing coming maybe. They seem to have a lot of stuff around them, the Chiefs, that they normally don't have. And I just think the Bills right now, I think the Bills are a team, they're on a 6-game win streak. Josh Allen's got that. Well, I'm going to run through a brick wall. I'm not losing this game no matter what it takes. We talked about him earlier in this year. He was kind of flaky and he was all over the place after games. This guy's dialed in right now. All right. Gregory Rousseau is dialed in right now. Espinesa's dialed in right now. They're going to have Rasul Douglas back, their cornerback back. They need him. They got him back. Kansas City are just they don't have enough. I get it. If Pacheco gets going on the ground, the Bills, whatever, there's going to be a close game. I don't think the Bills are going to smoke them, but I think the Bills are going to win this game 30-26. 30-27, 27-24. It's going to be close. All these Bills games have been close, but the Bills are going to survive and advance, and I guess they'll be going to Baltimore the following week, in which it'll be an ultimate AFC Conference Championship battle between Lamar Jackson and or Josh Allen will be going to their first ever Super Bowl. And they're very similar quarterbacks, right? They've both been polarizing. They've both been in the league for a while. They've both been unable to get over the top. We have some great potential storylines that are unfolding here. Think about almost any of the Super Bowl matchups are getting really cool now. Buffalo, San Francisco have never played each other in the Super Bowl. That was the one with the Kelly and the Montana era. And then that people always wanted, and Steve Young, and it never came to fruition. Buffalo and Detroit would be crazy. Kansas City, San Francisco, you get a rematch. If the Packers can somehow squeeze in, you get the legendary Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love in the Super Bowl. There's a lot of great storylines here to play out.
CJ Stroud looked like he's been playing in the league for a decade as the former number one overall pick.
Give me the 9.5 outright. Plus 385 outright. We smashed the 49ers.
The Tampa stuff just doesn't feel repeatable.
I've always thought that Baker Mayfield was better than people give him credit for.
Make sure you are locked in.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Last year, the Purdue Boilermakers upset by the 16 seed Fairleigh Dickinson. Is history going to repeat itself?
Purdue is capable of winning 6 games in the NCAA tournament, but the fact is, until Purdue proves that it's capable of not just advancing, but advancing far in the bracket in March, this is going to be the storyline. And I've said that to you throughout the offseason.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
they were best friends. Like they like Siakam's best friend on the team was Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher's best friend on the team was Pascal Siakam. They're not American, right? So there's different cliques in the NBA, and they were very, very tight. So Chris Boucher, I got rattled like seeing Chris Boucher and thinking about the memories. But Raptors responded.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. We didn't get to it tonight because all this football stuff going on, but Josh Hader signs the 5-year deal, like $20 million a year with the Houston Astros, no trade clause, guaranteed contract. Listen, I never get upset about these contracts in baseball. There's no salary cap. And I always tell people, listen, it's not your money. Like if the Dodgers, I'm a Dodger fan. If the Dodgers didn't sign Ohtani, they weren't reducing ticket prices this year. Like, either way, they're going to charge, all right? Like, either way, it's going to cost you. So, whenever fans, it always blew my mind when baseball fans will say, I don't want to spend that money on this player. It's like, what do you care? It's not your money. Like, you know what I mean? They're charging you to get in whether they sign this guy or not, bro. You know what I mean? It ain't going to be cheaper. It's like Leonardo DiCaprio was once asked, don't you feel bad that your movies cost $300 million to make and, you can solve world problems? And he had a great line. And he said the same thing. He goes, let me tell you something. If Paramount didn't spend $300 million on this movie, they're not donating it to charity. Okay. So nothing changes. But Josh Hader, I just don't believe in playing closers, Kim. Closers come and go. You're hot, you're not. To me, man, you make one of your pitchers that's sort of average a closer and suddenly becomes a star closer. Eric Gagne was a bad starting pitcher. He was a great closer. The roids helped, but there's a lot of cases. Mariano Rivera was a starter before. Dennis Eckersley, right? You don't pay these guys all that money, but what do I care? The Houston Astros have money, and it's not my money, and it's not if you're an Astro fan, what do you care? But to me, whatever. It's not a great baseball signing, whatever, that move. But Hader's a good pitcher. It is what it is. So follow me on Twitter at SportsRage. And I'm going to have all my best bets over the weekend. I got videos posted. We already gave you our NFL bets, but we'll have a bunch of touchdown scores, player props, and everything else in between. Nico Collins will get into the end zone for the Houston Texans tomorrow. We are Texans. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.